I would like to start off this video by addressing that I am no game designer or a good writer, which will be painfully evident as the video goes on, I warn you, and this is by no means an in-depth critique or review of the game. I recommend you check Game Maker's Toolkit video if you're interested in that. Neither is this a deep dive into the vast and expansive lore of Hollow Knight. For that one, I recommend you seek for our Lord and Savior, the one and only Mossbag. This is rather a heartfelt love letter, talking about what Hollow Knight means to me, how it has shaped my expectations toward video games, and why it was the first game that I have played all the way to the very end in a long time. With that, I welcome you to the very first episode of Pixel Perfect. You know, picking favorites is hard. If you were to ask me what my favorite movie or song is, I would probably reply with something along the lines of, it depends on my mood, or what genre, or I don't have one single favorite. And so, following the same pattern, if you had asked me about my favorite game, then my answer would be more or less the same. Until 2018. Back then, I had a really bad laptop that couldn't run any hotshot AAA games of the time, even at the lowest settings. And unlike most of my friends, I was not blessed with a console. So, being sick of playing the same stuff over and over again, like Turmoil, Polybridge, or even The Escapists, nothing against those games by the way, they're all great, I found myself dwelling deep into Reddit looking for some indie game suggestions. And in one of the replies to a random comment, someone said to check out this truly amazing, awesome game that we all know and love, and is the reason that you have clicked on this video today. I am, of course, talking about Shrek Super Party. But alas, I decided to go with the other game they mentioned called Hollow Knight. So I was sitting there waiting for it to install, thinking, oh, it's going to be just another weekend throwaway type of game, but boy oh boy did I not have the slightest idea of how wrong I was gonna be. Later, in 2019, I got a decent setup that could actually run games. Pretty well at that, mind you, and since then I have played countless titles as I had a lot of catching up to do. And don't take it lightly when I say this, but no other game, except maybe Breath of the Wild, comes close to giving me the sense of adventure, wonder, and joy that I got from playing Hollow Knight. Now let me give you some context about where I'm coming from. I've always been a person who doesn't go off the laid out path. I'm always scared it'll ruin the game for me somehow. Maybe too many side quests will make my character overpowered and take the challenge out of the game. Or maybe the story won't feel sequential. And besides, with all the pesky waypoint markers telling me where to go, what path to take, who to talk to, in what order, all the time, literally screaming at me about the correct way to experience the game, doing anything creative just doesn't feel natural. I get overwhelmed and every ounce of curiosity just leaves my mind completely. It is painfully clear that so many of these open world games are not even designed with exploration in mind. The big world just acts like a glorified menu system at best. And then comes this damn game which literally yeets you into its world without a purpose or an objective or anything, and you know what? It feels good. Stepping into a vast mystical gaming world has never felt more right. If I ask myself, what would I do if I was the knight and jumped into this unknown world with its many laws, secrets, mysteries, and legends without being given a clear goal? I would probably start walking around and familiarize myself with the area, go talk to the locals to get some information to understand the role I will assume in their society, or perhaps I would say screw it all and just wander off to discover some hidden treasure. Who knows? And that is exactly what the game makes the player do. It doesn't feel forced, and most importantly, doesn't feel overwhelming. The design lets the game and the players breathe, letting us take it all in and do things at our own pace and do it our way, which is very hard to pull off, especially if this is your first major title. Goddamn, Team Cherry, how do you do it? The most distinct emotions I've felt all at the same time come with the appearance of a beautiful new title screen accompanied by the original score of the brand new area that I just discovered. Just as you start getting comfortable with the enemy types, level layout, and the atmosphere of one area, you stumble upon some hidden path which leads you to what feels like an entirely new world. It is straight up brilliant. Just when you thought you have seen it all, the game throws a curveball at you and makes you re-experience the feeling you got when you first stepped into the Forgotten Crossroads over and over again until you have seen everything, which is just mind-blowing. During my tens of hours of playing Hollow Knight, there's nothing that I would look forward to more than discovering those new areas, which makes exploring the Kingdom of Hallownest my absolute favorite part about this game. And the only reason this has the sort of impact that it does is because of how vastly different each area of the game is. Brand new enemies, hidden secrets, new pieces of the stories to unravel, upgrades to find, bosses to defeat, landmarks to discover, you name it, it has it all. It made each area feel special, like everything has something new to offer, something which is not a copy-paste of the previous content, something which is not lazy. It is for that reason that the game kept me going until I had traveled across the land. What makes it even better is that you can't just ruin the experience because of your map, as it stays blank until you find a bench to rest. And when you find yourself exploring blindly, hoping to find that said bench, holding on to your precious geo while being terrified of every new bug you encounter, it results in one of the most gut-wrenching feeling in the game, which somehow manages to do a complete 180 as soon as you discover a stag station. On a side note, I absolutely love the stagways and the trams. There is just something so aesthetically pleasing about the fast travel system in Hollow Knight that I absolutely adore. Speaking of side notes, I'm just gonna say this right now, the mapping system in the game is pitch perfect and I'm glad they're carrying it over to Silksong. Now you might be wondering, well that's all cool and all, but with all the vast kingdoms to explore and characters to meet and foes to fight, what are your favorites? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me begin with what is easily my favorite boss fight in the game by a long shot. I still clearly remember the moment when I stumbled across the mysterious body of a large bug, expecting to hear their thoughts as I dream-nailed them. Just like with every other character, I was taken aback when instead I was greeted with dream particles that were glowing red. An ominous-looking lantern appeared in front of me, and as I reluctantly struck it with my nail, the ground beneath my very feet started shaking. The lantern was lit, and a circus melody could be heard in the distance. Now if that's not dramatic, then I don't know what is. What is there not to praise about the Grim Troop DLC? Everything leading up to the first Grim fight gets you excited for something big to come, and when you finally defeat him, thinking you have bested his craziest attacks, bam! The game hits you with that good old Uno reverse card. When I was walking up to that final arena, I could feel my heartbeat race. It felt in sync with the distant beating of the nightmare heart that seemed to get louder and closer with every step I took. Everything went black, and in blood red letters, the screen read, boy oh boy did the guy prove to be a nightmare. The boss is absolutely deserving of the grand title card. I'm not joking, it took me 27 tries to beat the Nightmare King, spam of a week I would say, and I have never been so satisfied in my life. Beating Grim makes the actual final boss of the game feel like a cakewalk. Yeah, I kinda beat Radiance on my second try? Yup. Everything from the build up to the curveball, the difficulty to the pacing, and the grand opening to the hardcore music makes the Nightmare King Grim my favorite boss fight of Hollow Knight. Oh, and who can forget, you get to keep the Grim Child, 10 out of 10. Although, if I had to select one more, then the Mantis Lords would be a close runner-up. Now before we move on to the next segment, here's a quick message from the sponsor of our video today. Subscribe to my goddamn channel! Thank you, Primacon. Very cool. You know, there's one moment in Hollow Knight that for me elevated it from good to amazing, and it might very well be my most beloved moment playing this game. And that crown goes to me stepping into my favorite area of the game for the very first time, the City of Tears. Oh boy, the rain, the music, the massive scale of the city itself just left me in awe. I don't think entering any other area hit me the same way as the capital city of Hallownest. I mean, Deepness did, but in the absolute worst ways possible. I've always been a history nerd. Reading up on early civilizations like ancient Egypt always leaves me deep into my thoughts for hours. And in some weird way, I felt that same emotion exploring the city. Watching the guards march along, learning about the 5 great knights, and just admiring the breathtaking architecture really sells the feeling of visiting the remains of an old fallen kingdom. It is located at the heart of Hallownest, which connects to many different areas, making the King Station an excellent spot to place your dream gate, and the entire atmosphere is dialed up to 11 by the heavenly music. Thank you, Christopher Larkin, you absolute Chad. This, however, is not my favorite score in Hollow Knight. Surprise, surprise. That honor goes to the masterpiece that is the Resting Grounds theme. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but the sad, mysterious theme of the old cemetery just hits me in the feels in all the right ways. But all in all, I believe every single soundtrack in this game is honestly just godlike. You know, as great of a game as Hollow Knight is, it is not purely coincidental. There is some stuff that helps set it apart from other games in my opinion. The world of Hollow Knight is not static, but ever-changing. Let me elaborate. This is evident from the various NPCs that keep appearing in different areas of the game. People like Cloth, Hornet, Zode, and Quirrell are all on their own little adventures. You cross paths with them during several occasions, fighting with them or alongside them, or just having a quick chat where each time they have something interesting to say about the area you both just happen to be exploring. Well, most of them anyway. This makes the game world feel alive, like it's not just about you, and world doesn't revolve around the night. This is made clearer when you go back to the Forgotten Crossroads after getting your double jump and the entire area is infected and crawling with new scary enemies. Yes, how cool is that? It gives the game a sense of time, which is so difficult to pull off. A little cherry on top is how easy it is to miss so many secrets and even full-on boss fights if you aren't thorough with your exploration. Team Cherry is not afraid to let players miss out on a ton of content, making it so that everyone gets to have a unique adventure which is personal to them, like how we all can find our own unique ways to fall into the hellhole that is Deep Nest. In today's age, where games barely have enough content to justify a full release, seeing something so full to the top with cool stuff to do is just refreshing and gives me hope for the gaming industry. And all of this, everything I've mentioned so far, for $15 with 4 free DLCs? It really makes you reevaluate the $60 you pay for some crappy games these days. We really do not deserve you, Team Cherry. On the behalf of the entire community, I would just like to say thank you for introducing us to one of the best games of all time and setting a high standard for indie gaming for generations to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was my very first video essay and it was a lot of fun to make. I know I didn't cover everything like the combat, different endings, Path of Pain, and like other DLCs like the Godmaster one, but I just wanted this video to be about what personally struck me the most about this game rather than like a full-on review. But I hope you enjoyed it regardless, and cut me some slack. I've never done this sort of stuff before. I had to write an entire script. But yeah, if you want to support me, then subscribe to my channel and maybe share this video. It'll help me a lot. But till then, take care of yourselves and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Bye.